Sorry, I was a little bit late because
No, it's okay.
Good.
1 minute. It's okay.
Yeah, I was in time, but I realized that I didn't have the Zoom on my laptop, and I installed it. But now I have it, and everything's cool.
It's okay for me.
Sorry?
It's okay for me. For me,
Good.
it's okay.
Good. Let me see if I can raise the. Yes, now it's better.
Yes.
Nice. I have my wife's high heel shoebox under.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I came to Finland, where I'm originally, but we've been living in Switzerland for several years because this week is the release week of the album, and we have release shows. And today is the first rehearsals with the band and with the vocalist. So we will rehearse 2 days, and then we have 2 shows.
Yes. And the album is 3 days.
Sorry?
The album in 3 days.
Yes, it's in Friday, so in 3 days. Yes.
Yes. How do you feel with that?
Well, obviously good, because it's always a long process, because the album was done last November. I mixed the album, and then me and Jacob Hansen, we mastered it, and it was recorded last summer / autumn in a long period of time. And now it's been basically waiting for 6 months, because that's how it is. And originally I was supposed to release the album just by myself, but then I played it to some people, and they said, this is really good, you should send this to some record labels. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I did. And then a King Records from Japan, they were interested, so I made a deal with them to Japan. And then Gramophone Records, which operates under Warner Music umbrella, with them I made a worldwide deal excluding Japan. So it was like, yeah, it's great. And it's always I've been doing this for 25 years professionally, 20 years. That makes me sound like I'm an old guy, which I guess age is just a number. But it's always really exciting, because you've been working on something so passionately, and then it's always the waiting when the album is done, when the record labels. Nice cat.
Oh. Yes.
When the record labels, they schedule their things, and then we had these shows, and we timed the release for these shows, and finally it's the waiting is starting to be over.
There is a lot of guests, a lot of musicians with you. How did you work with them?
Well, they are all my friends. So basically, when I wrote the songs, or originally I wrote the songs for because I have a YouTube channel where I publish videos weekly. I wrote those. I have usually like intro song for a certain amplifier or something, and then people started to ask me that these songs are great. That are you gonna put these out, because this is fantastic? And I was like, yeah, I've been thinking about that. And then I send those songs, the demo versions, to different vocalists, like how I hear Samy on this song, on this one I hear Olli or Pekka or Jake, and I send them and hey, I'm gonna make this album, would you be interested in? I think this will be cool. And everybody was like, yes, we are in. And then we basically worked remotely. So they sent me their vocal ideas, then I sent mine, and then if a certain song, like Olli Herman's song "Fast Living Slow Suicide," it was a little bit different originally, but Olli had great arrangement ideas, adding some chords so his vocals would fit, and then we just kind of bounced back and forth. And then when the song was like ready, then I sent the demo version to America to a drummer, because I have a Devin James, and he's an American drummer, so he then recorded the drums. And then when I had the real drums and the vocalist, then I re-recorded guitars and bass.
Okay.
So that it sounds like it's everything are playing in one room, even though it was recorded in many different countries. But that's modern technology.
Yeah, it's yes, it's useful.
It's really useful. I mean, old days. I'm that old. I started recording on tape. But then you always need to be in the studio. It was really expensive, and with magnetic tape, there's only certain amount of takes you can do. Nowadays, you can record everything here and there, and then just put them together and mix in your studio, because everything is digital. I think it's just fantastic nowadays. It's a lot easier and cheaper than it used to be.
Cheaper. It's a good point.
Yes, because music business ain't the same than it was when I started, when people still bought CDs. I mean, it's fantastic. We have these streaming services. The music is available to everybody. Everyone can release their music. There's just so much of it that because the profits aren't necessarily the same anymore. So the recording budgets have gone down. But what is cool, because the technology is so fantastic that we can make albums a lot cheaper nowadays. So I guess the relationship is pretty much, you don't need any more 50,000 euros to make an album. You can make an album with 500 euros.
Yes.
If you know how to mix yourself, like I do. I don't know how to engineer and mix. But obviously, because I mix a lot of other band stuff too, then it's obviously a bit more expensive if you need to hire someone. But if you can do it all, it's actually quite cheap nowadays.
And about the artwork with the dragon, very nice. What is the idea? And
that's a good question, and so I have a big dragon on my back, full sleeve tattoo.
Yeah.
Then I have a koi carpfish here.
Yes.
And it's a Japanese folklore that when a black carpfish goes upstream the river, then he there's all kinds of battles and struggles. But then when he finally gets to where the river starts, up in the mountains, and there's a cave.
Yes.
And the koi carp goes to the cave, and he or she becomes a dragon. And dragon in Japanese culture, it's a positive thing.
Yes,
it's a good.
Yes.
It's a good. So it's not like in European folklore, dragons are always bad. But in Japan, so that carpfish, which I guess in a way it's me, then it turns into a better person and a dragon. So that's I have this jewelry, which is actually there's river and then there's carpfish, and this is called Dragon's Gate. And then so I explained this story to Devin, the drummer. He also did the artwork, and I told him this, and he was like, okay, let me come up with something. And then he came up with 4 or 5 different arts. Yeah. And I liked them all, so we ended up using the one. It's the album cover. This is the first single. This is the second, the third. So everything went like, wow, this is great. And then when I told this to Japanese, they were really like, awesome, you know this folklore. Yeah. And then they asked me that, do you know what year is 2024? I was like, no, it's the year of the dragon. Mm. And the previous year of the dragon was in 1976, and I was born in 1976.
Every 12 years.
Okay, 12, yeah.
Yes.
So, but anyway, this was coincidence, but I'm born in the year of the dragon, and now this album is the year of the dragon and the dragon artwork, but I didn't know that it's the year of the dragon. It was just a coincidence, and they were like, I was like, okay, this gotta mean something. So
it's a sign. Maybe it's a sign.
Maybe it's a sign. I don't know, but that was really cool when they told me that, you know, you have thought about this. I was like, no, I didn't know that, but cool.
When I read the lyrics, I found some are darker than the others, like Fast Living. It's a little dark, and some other more light. So we have the two sides, both sides.
Yes.
Like and the yin and yang, and
kind of yes, because the fast living, slow suicide, it's about alcoholism. I've been sober for years. I'm a sober alcoholic. That's about me. That song, and the story I told about the dragon and the carp. That's about me too, because I feel when I reached now I'm the dragon. I used not to be. So now I'm, you know, sober for many years, which is great. So that song was about the fast living and slow suicide. That's what it is. That's what I was going through, and many of my colleagues, unfortunately, some of them aren't here anymore. And then there's happier songs like Rock and Roll Unites. That's I wrote with Jake. It's about when we were kids and when we were starting, and everything was, you know, happy. Our parents, the lyrics goes that our parents drove us to the show, and yeah. So there is like musically and lyrically, there are yin and yang, like you said.
Yes. How do you manage with all your solo career, Cyhra, and your channel YouTube? So
I mean, I think it's, you know, when at least what happened to me when I sobered, I felt like I have more hours. I'm always in a good mood. I don't have I'm like, and I always like to do stuff. I get bored, or, you know, if I don't have anything to do. So, and it's not like, it doesn't feel like work. It's just like, I know that I'm a very lucky person because I get to do what I love to do. What used to be my hobby is now my profession. So it's just like, I like to do stuff, and everything kind of always, because last year we released the Cyhra album, and then when that was done, we did some tours. We still have more tours, and then I had time last summer, like, I'm gonna do a solo album. And then the YouTube stuff there, I usually put out like a couple of videos. That's 1 day or 2 a week. I do those, and yeah, but I think I just have more hours than I used to have.
In the past, you played with a lot of bands like Children of Bodom, Ensiferum, and so on. Which one miss you so much?
Well, those bands you mentioned, I didn't play in the bands, but I was a guest musician in the studio sessions. So Alexi rest in peace. He was my old friend we knew each other since we were 20 something. And it was just like Alexi called me, hey, would you come? We are doing this album, would you want to come and play a banjo or whatever? Yeah, sure. When? Well, now. Okay. And Ensiferum, they are my old friends. And Janne Joutseniemi, who produced Ensiferum albums, he called me one day that, hey, are you going in town? We're doing acoustic guitars and we would like you to play, because acoustic guitar, Ensiferum guys, they're fantastic players, like electric and heavy metal, but acoustic guitar, it's kind of different animal. And I have played a lot of acoustic guitar too. So they just wanted me to do the acoustic guitars for the whole album. And I said, yeah, of course. And what I miss the most, I'm not sure if I miss Alexi,
I met him several times, and
oh yeah,
really nice guy. Yes,
he's nice, and it's yeah, it's still it's a bit hard to me, because he was such a loss. And I feel that I don't know, maybe I should have done more, or because he's one of the guys I mentioned that are not with us anymore, who has struggled with alcoholism and stuff. So, yeah, I miss him.
I imagine, yes. Do you have something else to add about the album?
Sorry?
Do you have something else to add about the album?
Well, to add, I think this album, because Cyhra is kind of more modern stuff. I used to play Shining, which was kind of like more towards black hard rock, black metal, blackish rock, but the 80s music, that's always been the closest to me, because I grew up then and I learned how to play guitar in the 80s. And this album was just something that I felt and I feel that I was missing, because I always end up listening to the old albums from that era, and then there are bands that does this kind of stuff like Steel Panther, but I feel it's a bit more like a humor kind of thing, and I wanted to make an album that I would like to hear and listen, like just that very selfish reasons. I made the album to myself, because this is the album I would like to listen, and hopefully as many other people as possible will feel the same way that they. And I've gotten the feedback that many people have said to me that they don't make this kind of music anymore. I mean, done like this, that it's serious. It's not just the humor thing of 80s with, big hair. I don't have that. It's just the music. So that's kind of what was my goal with this album, to make kind of serious, but not like this serious, but serious late 80s, early 90s album where drums are, alive, a guitar playing is a bit wild. Nowadays, so many albums and music is so quantized and stereo, so I kind of wanted to make this a little bit old school style album. There's only like drums, one guitar, which is double, and bass, so really without any, extra.
I read some songs are Ozzy-like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ozzy. I mean, I think I said this somewhere that I have waited Ozzy Osbourne to make an album like No More Tears since 90s, but he hasn't made. So I thought that I made it. Obviously, there's a little bit humor, but still, I mean, I love Ozzy. I love the new albums, but it's not the albums. Maybe it's because I grew, what he used to make. So I kind of wanted to make how would it feel if Ozzy would make an album in the 90s? So this is kind of I have a Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh yes.
And Randy Rhoads, which is my all-time favorite guitar player. I have them tattooed here. So.
Okay. You have a lot of tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah. And oh, wow, nice. Yeah, because there's a story.
Yes.
Why? So they are not.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, they are not just beautiful pictures, even though they are, but they have something. Because this is the album cover of Ozzy Osbourne's tribute album, and I basically learned everything I know about, especially lead guitar playing, by studying that album. Because Randy Rhoads was and still is he's the people always think that, because I kind of play a little bit like Zakk Wylde and look, but I didn't knew Zakk Wylde until a few years after No More Tears. So I was just like Randy Rhoads, and then I always loved blues. So that was kind of, and then I remember when I then heard No More Tears album, my friend said that, hey, this guy, this Zakk Wylde guy, he's got a similar thing going on that you. And I remember listening to that album, that, damn, he does exactly what I've been doing, but he's so much better. And then I met Zakk afterwards. We sort of become a bit friends. We haven't been in touch in years. And that was cool. Then when we discussed about our influences, and he had the same influences than me. He's a little bit older than me. So it was nice. I mean, I love his playing, obviously. I became a huge fan after I heard him. But I mean, I knew him, but I was always like, no, Randy Rhoads is the Ozzy Osbourne guitar player. I don't care about it.
Okay. You spoke about shows, and you will play on tour, make some tour.
We have these 2 shows now. There's no plans for tour because different vocalists, and
yes,
I was
it's
really
complicated.
lucky.
Yes.
Yeah, it's complicated. Obviously, because I was very lucky, because these days a Finnish booking agent presented to me that, hey, would you like to do 2 shows? And then I sent an email to all the vocalists, hey, that would be cool if some of you will be available. If most of you aren't, then I'm not gonna do this. And everybody said that we're available. It's funny because Samy from Lost Society, he just came from the tour, and he's going on tour again the day after the second show. So everybody was here. Jake is flying from Sweden. So it was just like wow. Like, but if there's if people really want, and then I think I will probably maybe try to do it with 2 vocalists, or like Slash did when he released the first album. There was many different vocalists, and then Miles Kennedy just sing the songs on tour. So that is possible, but I don't know, because this summer I'm fully booked with my old band Suburban Tribe. We do big festivals here in Finland. We do this one-off comeback. Then after the summer we have a Scandinavian tour with Cyhra, and then, if I remember correct, a European tour. So it's like,
you can't be there.
It will be awesome, but if there will be a time and place, and obviously it needs to make sense financially too. So then I would love to do some touring with this album, and the band I have now, they're Finnish players. They're all really. It's a band called Ocean Horse, Their vocalist is on the album, and their guitar player Ben Varon plays a few solos on the album. Amazing band. So they said that if there's a tour, we're in. I'm like, okay, well, at least now I have a band.
So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Samy.
And your answers.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
So
all right.
Hope to see you with one band or some other.
Yes, it will be nice. I mean, France is great. I actually, where I live in Switzerland, there's about 1 kilometer to French border. So many times I go grocery shopping in France because it's cheaper. All right.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.